What's the next step? Okay, I know this is specific for my client, right? What's the next step from now? I'm planning ahead. Maybe I plan in 1 year. I'm putting down, I'm writing down what I'm planning for 1 year. What the other thing you have to consider?
Where they're at now?
Training wise. Can they do exactly now in 1 year time? Will they be doing this exactly the same thing? Even though it's the most specific thing I can come up with?
No.
What they need to do?
Achieve.
Huh? Progression. Overload. We call it overload and progression. Okay? You need to progress. So in the end of the day, you came up with something very, very specific. Great. In 3 months' time, 6 months' time, or whatever, you have to come up with something else. More specific. Because at the time I'm dominating the skills required to achieve my goal, I will have another goal, and therefore what was specific in the past is no longer specific. Therefore, I need progression and overload. Those things are going together, guys. So overload and progression. Now, you can think about a top athlete and an 85 years old person, older athlete. The principles are the same. Specificity, overload, and progression. An 85-year-old lady comes to me, never trained before, and wants to increase bone mineral density, can work out for 15 minutes a day.
You said 15, okay.
15, 15. And I am doing with her bicep curls and triceps push down. Is it specific? How long do I take to do bicep curls and triceps push down for 15 minutes with an 85 years old lady?
Well, it's not specific because you haven't put reps, sets, that sort of stuff.
It's not specific, yes, but the following answer is not what I want. What the analogy I want to make is, well, if someone wants to increase bone mineral density, how many bones are here in the human body? What's his name again?
Steve.
Steve, my boy. Steve, my boy. How many bones are here?
206.
206. 206. Now I'm doing bicep curls and triceps push down. What muscles I'm involving? A couple here, isn't it?
Yeah.
The lady has 15 minutes. Is bicep curls and triceps push down relevant for the lady?
No.
No. Right? So I'm missing on the specificity. So it's not specific, not because I don't have the reps and blah blah blah, but because she needs an overall increase of bone mineral densities through resistance training. So I better come up with better compound exercise, not isolation ones. I do isolation if one day I have time. Otherwise, I stick to compounds, right? Just give you a general idea. Now, if I have someone who wants to become Arnold Schwarzenegger and compete, well, definitely I'm gonna do some bicep curls and try to push down that specific. Right?
What's the nigga?
What's that? What?
I knew what he meant.
What?
Say it again.
If you have someone willing to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, then how do you say Arnold Schwarzenegger? How do you say that? Huh?
It's funnier when you say it.
It's funny when I get the results of your accent, I have to go over the whole thing. It's also funny.
Don't listen to them, Victor.
I always listen to them.
Simon drops a tear on his
By the way, you still can come up with the word for me.
Well, that's
What's that? Schwarzenegger. What's the claim of the accent? Well, if you ask Schwarzenegger, what is he from? Scottish, isn't it? Scottish. You see, Leonie, what I have to put up with. Talking about training. When I was talking about something. Now you took me out of track, you put me back on track.
Compound movement.
Compound movement. So specific for the lady, compound movements. Is specific for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arm stuff.
It's from Scotland.
Scotland. So someone from Scotland is Scottish. A lot. So talking about specificity, we had muscle groups and systems, speed of movement, movement patterns, muscle actions, blah blah blah. So I give you two examples of specificity that you would have to look at, other than this that I gave you. Energy systems. If I get someone here who is a sprinter, 100-meter sprinter, okay? What energy system is that person using?
ATP.
ATP primarily. Do you all understand and agree with that? Do you remember ATP? Short burst, up to 20 seconds, whatever. After that, the lactic acid take over, and after that, the aerobic take over, okay? So what energy system I would have to train with a sprinter if I eventually training them in the gym?
Short burst.
Short burst, squats, 6, 8 reps, 5 reps, whatever. All right, so ATP primarily. Even though most of the resistance training, you are actually working on ATP anyway, right? Most of them. But if you build a circuit, that changes a little bit, right? If you build a circuit, then you are working with sometimes a lot of different ones together, okay? ATP, lactic acid, and aerobic. Speed of movement. So if I have give me sports. Shot put. You know that sport, shot put? Hey, whatever. I have one guy training for shot put, right? If you don't know what the sport is, they have that ball, which I don't know how much it weighs, maybe 5 or 6 kilos, I don't know. And then they have to throw it as far as possible, okay? And I have someone wants to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. I have those two people, bodybuilder and sport specific. What's the difference between the speed, in regards to speed of movements from a guy with a sport specific, even more specific, the shot put guy, in comparison to the guy who wants to build muscle?
You use a slower tempo to build muscle.
Absolutely, we need to slow the tempo to build the muscle. The slower the eccentric phase is, the better. Now the guy who wants to do work for a sport specific, whatever it is, maybe even a sprinter, for example, they have to try to perform those repetitions with a little bit more power, because that's how he does when he's actually performing the sport or the activity they are doing. So just if you stop it here, guys, you would go home brainstorming a lot of different ways of training someone for whatever the person will train for. Just stop it here, but it doesn't stop here. Overload. Overload means you have to progress the weight eventually that we are doing stuff. One little thing that is one of the principles of strength and conditioning is that sometimes, depending on what you're training for, you don't have to keep increasing the load. That's a little bit more specific what I'm telling you. You don't have to keep increasing the load. Sometimes you increase the load too much, it's not relevant for such an athlete, okay? That person might not need that much strength, okay? But taking that apart, you still need to progress with more load, okay? Or more weight. But you have to be careful to adjust the volume and intensity once you keep increasing the weight you're doing, okay? Then have overload could be sets, reps, range of motion, and decrease in rest periods. For example, if someone is doing a 90-degree squat, they might start doing a full squat. Okay, both could be good for the person, but once the person increases the range of motion and is going for a full squat, then they have to take into consideration maybe the amount of reps, the weight they're using, etc., etc., etc. Okay. And the progression. Okay, one method a program can be progressed is by following the FIT principle. FIT means frequency, intensity, time, and type. Okay, again, frequency, intensity, time, and type. If I build a program, five sessions of 45 minutes in a week, okay, and I want to progress, somehow I can progress the frequency. Now the next program after 6 weeks, that person is going to be doing 6 sessions of 45 minutes a week. Yeah.
Could you just go back for 2 seconds?
3 seconds if you want. One more.
Thank you. Yep.
Now I can keep the person doing the 5 sessions.